Happy Halloween, everybody! I'm Juliet, the daughter.
And I'm Kevin, the dad.
And this is a My Dad Listens to This holiday special. We've done a few of these before. We've done 20 songs for 2020, back when we thought everything was going to be fine. We've done a Christmas special, and we sort of did a Halloween special. We did Dave Barry's Book of Bad Songs. But this time, we thought we would do a Halloween special with our 13, thought we'd pick the curse number, favorite holiday songs. So here's how it's going to go down. I'm going to do my 6 songs and give you the background, and we're going to review them. Dad's going to give his 6 songs with the background, and we're going to review them. And then we're going to do one Halloween song that we all agreed on. So, Dad, do you have anything to say, or should we just get right into it?
Let's just get right into it, shall we?
Okay, here we go. So I'm going to scroll to my list. Okay, this is in no particular order for me, by the way. I just picked 6 random songs, so it's not like top 1, 2, 3, 4. It's just 6.
Yeah, same with mine.
Yeah. Okay, first song that we're going to cover, Transylvania Mania, from the original Broadway cast recording of Young Frankenstein. Now, this is the Act 1 finale for the musical based on the Mel Brooks movie of the same name. Mel Brooks wrote the music and lyrics for this show, trying to follow up on his hit with a stage adaptation of The Producers. It wasn't at all by a mile, but local theaters can almost always put this up around Halloween, and people always enjoy it.
So he's definitely making bank on it.
Oh yeah, absolutely. The premise is the villagers and Inspector Kemp have come to check out Victor Frankenstein's house, and the monster is awake. They need a diversion, so Igor improvises with a song and dance number called the Transylvania Mania. And what's the Transylvania Mania? The latest dance craze, of course. Of course, things go horribly wrong when the monster breaks out at the end. Listen, it's a musical. Roll with it. I think what I love about this number is how much fun Christopher Fitzgerald is having as Igor. And Mel Brooks is using a rhyme scheme like Cole Porter, making words rhyme with Transylvania that don't really at all, but it's fun and charming, like Just Accept It, Don't Refrainia. Then when the other cast members and ensemble get caught up in the fun, the music gets more upbeat, like a classic 1920s tap number. Almost the same groove as Sing, 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 too, if you listen very closely. And pretty soon you find yourself singing along and tapping your feet. A nice touch is when they vocalize to match the monster's groans. There's even a Puttin' on the Ritz reference, which, don't worry, they do sing the song in the show. And the whole number feels jazzy and big and fun, especially with the ending. I listen to this every Halloween and get caught up in the fun of the music. Just a number that's a great time.
I did not find myself singing along or tapping my feet.
I had a feeling.
But as I was listening to it, the first thing I thought was, how many words can you come up with that rhyme with Transylvania? Well, kind of sort of rhyme with Transylvania. I'm just going to stick with the original movie because, it's kind of hard to improve on perfection. Mm-hmm. And plus I had no idea, like when I heard the Puttin' on the Ritz reference, I thought, oh God, don't tell me they replaced that with this and that the monster's dancing to this.
They still do it.
Okay, I feel better.
Yeah.
I'm still not going to watch the musical, though.
That's fine.
Did they do a movie version of this that no one watched, or
no, they
didn't
not.
bother?
Nope.
Did they learn their lesson from the producers?
Yes, they did.
Good.
Plus, that was also Susan Stroman who directed the movie in The Producers and Young Frankenstein. I think when they saw what a flop that was, they were like, let's just not bother.
That always happens when they turn musicals into movies.
Well, and especially if you have somebody directing it who has no experience directing a film before. Like a famous example is the movie adaptation of A Little Night Music, where the only good part of that movie is Dame Diana Rigg. But you think, wow, Elizabeth Taylor, Diana Rigg, what could go wrong? Hal Prince never directing a movie before in his life, and the only good sequence in that film is the one where Stephen Sondheim specified, this is how you're going to shoot this scene.
Huh.
Yeah.
So maybe he should have directed it.
Yeah, especially because he's a real film nerd. When he died, he released a list of all his favorite movies, and there were some wild picks in there.
Huh.
Okay, next track. Lucy and Linus's theme from It's the Great Pumpkin, Charlie Brown. By
Also
Vince
known
Guaraldi.
as Linus and Lucy.
Yep. But Juliet, you may ask, why Linus and Lucy for the Great Pumpkin?
Juliet, I may ask, why Linus and Lucy from the Great Pumpkin?
Why not the Great Pumpkin Waltz? And how come you don't associate this with Christmas? Simple. Great Pumpkin is my favorite Peanuts special. And when I think of Linus and Lucy, I always associate it with the opening sequence of the two of them, Linus and Lucy, obviously, going to the pumpkin patch to pick a pumpkin to bring home.
Aw, you didn't tell me you were going to kill it.
No. And it's actually the two characters referenced in the title. And there's one more feature, the addition of a flute to symbolize an autumn breeze or a leaf dancing in the wind. For me, this gives the song the essential fall touch that's perfect for Halloween. And I agree with the commenters on the video. Listening to the piece without the flute, you feel that there's something missing. Hearing this makes me want to watch Great Pumpkin on Halloween, and I never skip it when it comes on.
Uh-huh. Oh, yeah. What makes this work for Halloween and for fall in general is the flute. And I think it really brings out the flavor of the season, if that makes sense.
Yes.
It's, like you said, it's either a breeze or I think it's more like the leaves falling.
Especially, in that sequence where Snoopy is helping Charlie Brown rake the leaves, and they have the flute playing as the leaf blows through the air until it lands on the top of the pile.
Thanks, old pal.
Charge! Never jump into a pile of leaves with a wet sucker.
Charlie Brown looks like he wants to give him what for.
Yeah, absolutely.
Vince Guaraldi nails another holiday perfectly. And not only with this song, which shows up again when it's 4 a.m. and Lucy has to bring in Linus from the pumpkin patch because he's freezing his butt off waiting for the great pumpkin, who never showed for some reason, probably because his pumpkin patch was not sincere.
No, because he said if.
When the great pumpkin comes, I'm doomed. One slip like that can cause the great pumpkin to pass you by. Yeah, we've seen this 87 times at least.
Also, shout out to that special for having Lucy actually be decent for once and bringing her brother inside. That might be the nicest thing she's ever done for anybody.
Yeah, go figure.
Maybe also because if, the non-existent parents come out and see their son dead from frostbite in the pumpkin patch, Lucy can't exactly, talk her way out of that one.
Yeah, but the parents could also be held responsible for child abuse.
That's very true.
And then she's thrown in an orphanage and, then where is she?
Exactly.
Yeah. So not only this song, but the rest of the pieces in the special work as well. Like the graveyard theme over the opening credits.
Yep.
And I think he achieves a gentle scariness.
Yes.
With that piece.
Yeah.
And then there's the breathless piece, which plays when Snoopy, as the World War I flying ace, is making his way through the bombed-out countryside in France.
Oh, yeah.
That's really evocative.
And is that a flute or a clarinet they have playing really, really low? I can't tell. I think it's flute.
I want to say it's a flute.
And then great
because I think it brings out the loneliness of Snoopy being a stranger in a strange land, just trying to make his way back to civilization.
Here's the World War I flying ace, imagining he's down on enemy lines, making his way across the French countryside.
Exactly. And then, the Great Pumpkin Waltz, that's the one that plays when the kids are getting candy.
And also is that also the one that plays sort of when Linus is writing his letter?
Yes,
okay,
that's exactly, yep. So it's great stuff overall. Great mood-setting pieces, not a rock in the bunch.
Nope.
And you can find the entire 2009 remastered soundtrack on YouTube.
And you can also buy Great Pumpkin along with a box set of the Christmas special and the Halloween special on Amazon really cheap if you still have a DVD player or if you have an Xbox that can play DVDs. Next track, The Raven, Alan Parsons Project. This is from the album Tales of Mystery and Horror, which is a concept album. Imagination, sorry. Okay, which is a concept album that retells the stories of Edgar Allan Poe, which is a cool concept. It's one of the first rock songs to use a vocoder, which I think works wonderfully well. It starts out softly as we hear the opening lines of the poem, and it's very faint. But then the raven enters and the vocoder gets louder, so if you turned up the beginning of the song, it's going to come blasting at you with the next part. It's creepy and awesome, like a ghost from the future. And who's behind the vocoder? Leonard Whiting! Yup, Romeo from the Zeffirelli film. And he sings the entire song without the vocoder and sounds pretty darn good. His voice can go from belting in despair to whispering feebly in an instant, which is very impressive and hard to do. The guitar solo in the middle kicks ass, and the choir gives the song a gothic feel. This is probably my favorite audio adaptation of the poem, with my favorite visual adaptation being the Simpsons Treehouse of Horror version narrated by James Earl Jones.
Yeah, you really can't beat that.
Nope.
Yeah, the vocoder voice makes it tough to understand the lyrics, but that's why YouTube was recreated, because you can find the lyric video, which I did. And yeah, that is Leonard Whiting on lead vocals, and did he do anything else besides Romeo and Juliet?
I think he just stuck to English theater after that primarily. And then there was that famous lawsuit that came out years later with him and Olivia suing them for nudity, for being forced to do nudity.
Oh yeah, 53 years after the fact.
Yeah.
A little late on that one.
Maybe they wanted to wait until, we're established in the community, we're not minors, so people are going to take us seriously, and the guy's dead, so he can't come after us, let's just do it now.
Nah. Anyway, I think, lyrics by Edgar Allan Poe from the album Tales of Mystery and Imagination, because that was the name of one of Poe's books. And yes, probably one of my least favorite genres, the art rock concept album.
Which we have done before in a TikTok. But Dad, to sum up in brief, why do you not like concept albums?
I just don't. Because it's like, wow. I just know that I don't.
You said that they're pretentious before.
Yeah, they're pretentious and they can tend to be boring unless you've got like some catchiness going on. They're kind of full of themselves. It's like, people in love with the smell of their own farts, basically.
But you do have one exception to the rule.
Yeah, I do.
And we'll cover that on the show.
Maybe someday.
We're not going to spoil it.
Yeah. So the thing is, like, it's an art rock concept album. So basically, you're getting motifs that appear throughout the album. So you do get bits of another song, Dr. Tar and Professor Feather, based on the obscure Poe story, The System of Dr. Tar and Professor Feather.
Any good?
I never read the story. Good song, though. So yeah, they try to tie all the songs together. And the thing is, I like Alan Parsons.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I have a 2-disc best of of the band.
And this one's on it, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which is pretty much all anyone needs. And, if 2 discs might be too much for you, there are 1-disc best ofs as well. That way you don't have to muddle your way through entire concept albums. You just get the good bits. Because APP, they were pretty darn good singles band. They could you could always count on them for at least, 1 or 2 hits per concept album, which is pretty tough to do.
Mm-hmm. Okay, next track. Raised by Bats, Aurelio Voltaire. Aurelio Voltaire is a Cuban-American singer, composer, author, and animator. He is a leading performer in the genre of dark cabaret music. He is best known for writing music for The Grim Adventures of Billy and Mandy, which, fun fact, Cartoon Network never paid him for. His 13 studio albums.
Why not?
I don't know, but they never paid him, and he's been dirt poor ever since.
13 studio albums?
He's done 13 studio albums by himself, and he's known for his YouTube series, Gothic Homemaking, featuring his decaying puppet sidekick, Orville Dedenbacher. Raised by Bats is the title song from his 10th studio album of the same name, and it's a departure from his usual style with music that's more death rock and gothic rock. I first heard this song from Daria Cohen's Vampire series with the music video she animated for it, and even without the music video, I love this song by itself.
I bet he didn't make any money off those animated videos either.
Well, here's the thing. Ever since those videos, there's been larger turnout for his concerts, and he said, yeah, this one college student in Israel completely changed my life.
Oh, that's good.
So yeah, it's probably Voltaire's most autobiographical song. The character of Raised by Bats is bullied and runs away to the city where he's taken in by creatures of the night, and he decides to choose bats over people because he never did like the way humans made him feel. Voltaire himself was bullied, had an abusive stepfather, was a victim of sexual abuse, and his girlfriend committed suicide. He almost gave in, but decided to spite the bullies by standing up for himself. Then he ran away at 17 to New York City, where he got a job animating for Parker Brothers. Yeah.
Huh.
He's much happier in his new life, and if people ask him why he has to be like that, he just punches them in the eye and bites them in the thigh and kicks them in their ass where the sun don't shine and tells them he was raised by bats. I almost picked When You're Evil, but this song is so much fun and fills you with the same hope Voltaire found when he met his people. Bats.
Okay, so had he ever considered bringing a lawsuit against Cartoon Network for not getting paid for his work?
I kind of feel like maybe he didn't want to bother at that point, and also he got so many other projects to do to keep him afloat. But I'm not sure. That's just the rumor that I heard anyway. Either they didn't pay him or they didn't pay him what he was owed.
Huh.
Yep.
Bad Cartoon Network.
Bad Cartoon Network.
Bad.
Yep.
Anyway, when I first heard this song, it kind of reminded me of like a Halloween version of Billy Idol, which might be kind of repetitive. But yeah, the music struck me as being very 80s, and it was fun, and it was very catchy.
Yes.
And I gotta say, watching the cartoon video on YouTube that you sent me the link to made the song even better my second time around. Mm-hmm. And then I fell down the rabbit hole and discovered...
Discovered what?
Zombie Prostitute.
I love Zombie Prostitute so much.
Which is exactly what you'd think it is.
Yep.
And 2 of the best lines. 1, she's a rotten kind of cute. Mm-hmm. And then when he is turned into zombie gigolo, keep the tip.
Yep.
But overall, yeah, the cartoon really made. I thought, wow, this would make a great series.
And it is. In the latest episode, she doesn't always do Aurelia Voltaire's music. Like, when she has other characters come in, they're performed by different artists. She actually used a Lily Allen song for one of Duke's enemies when they resurrected and come back to life. F.U. by Lily Allen. And the latest episode in the series might be the best of all time that she has ever done, which is really good. So yeah, all right. Also, fun fact, a couple of years ago, Aurelia Voltaire was in Providence, but it was at a nightclub that was kind of in the seedier area, and it was really late at night. And I didn't know anybody else who was a fan, and I couldn't really drive yet, so I was like, well, I missed that one.
That was either dusk.
It was dusk.
Oh yeah, I've been there. Andy's played there a few times. It is kind of in a sketchy area.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But if he ever comes back, maybe, I don't know, maybe you might want to go with me if you like this guy's music now. I don't know.
We'll see.
All right, next track. Into the Unknown, The Blasting Company. We go from one Cartoon Network related thing to another. This is the song from the opening credits to Over the Garden Wall on Cartoon Network. It was their first ever miniseries, running over 5 consecutive nights, and it told the story of 2 half-brothers, Greg and Wirt, who are trying to get home as they cross through the mysterious land of the unknown. The story is based on Dante's Inferno and features many famous people, including Elijah Wood, Christopher Lloyd, John Cleese, Bebe Neuwirth, Tim Curry, and Shirley Jones. It got rave reviews and has a substantial cult following. As for the song, it was written by the series creator, Patrick McHale, and it's performed by Jack Jones. The music was scored by the American folk band The Blasting Company, who are known from combining the musical styles of the Balkans with Southern Dixie, and it's all played with real instruments. The song sounds like music from an animated fairy tale, but not a Disney one, like a dark story written by the Brothers Grimm. Jones's voice has this warmth to it, and you can tell his voice has aged, but it really contributes to the coziness. Yet there's a lone piano, and the melancholy of the lyrics, if dreams can't come true, then why not pretend, give it an odd darkness. But I still love listening to it, even with that darkness. Elijah Wood was right when he said, if this show were a record, it would be played on a phonograph. And I think the Blasting Company captured that vibe really well with this opening song. And the cover art for the album goes perfectly with it. Autumn leaves are in the background, and the silhouettes of Greg and Wirt are in the lantern with the beast's shadowy hand reaching for them.
I've seen that.
A good song for transitioning from early fall into Halloween. Listen to the whole soundtrack and watch the series, which you can either stream on Max, formerly HBO Max, or buy on DVD.
This is sung by Jack Jones as Greg's frog, as you said. And yes, Jack, I sang the Love Boat theme, Jones.
No way, that's what he's famous for?
Yep, because when I was trying to figure out, well, who sang this, I typed in about Into the Unknown and Jack Jones, and I thought, no, that can't be. So I hit Wikipedia, and son of a gun, yes.
Oh, wow, glad he's still working.
Love, exciting and new, to Golden Memories, the loveliest lies of all.
Which, wow, what a transition.
And I was surprised because I did not think the man was alive. He still is, and he is 85 years old.
Good for him.
Anyway, Into the Unknown is sung twice in the series.
Yes.
The first episode and the last, which has Greg's frog singing the full version.
Jason Funderburker, which is the name he eventually settles on for the frog.
Yeah, so if dreams can't come true, why not pretend?
Oof.
And Golden Memories, the loveliest lies of all. Heavy stuff for a kid's cartoon show song. Yep. Musically melancholy and sad, and it really makes you think about life, unless you're 7 years old and you're wondering, why is this frog making me sad?
Yeah.
Why isn't it over? And if you've never seen this miniseries, you owe it to yourself to do so.
I introduced Dad to it. I was like, oh, my friends really got me into this, and there was some stuff that, listen, Dad's watched animation for a long, long time, and he's seen some stuff, but there were still twists and turns that made him go, holy shit! So definitely watch it if you haven't already. And there was one more thing that I wanted to say about Over the Garden Wall, but I've forgotten it, so if I remember, I'll come back to it later. All right, my final song, Downbound Train, Chuck Berry. Okay, we covered this song in our Chuck Berry series, but here's a refresher. The song was inspired by the fire and brimstone upbringing he had growing up in a Baptist household. It tells the story of a man who gets so drunk he passes out on the barroom floor and dreams he's riding a train to hell that's driven by the devil. As soon as he wakes up, he gets on his knees and repents and vows to never have another drop, which I think he means due to how scary the dream is. Okay, now, whenever we do a song in one of our specials that we have covered before, I always do a re-listen and I compare to my old notes to see if there's anything I missed. So here's what I didn't notice the first time around. Chuck makes a point of saying everyone is on this train, handsome ladies and wicked old hags, meaning doesn't matter who you are, if you're a sinner, you're going to hell. The devil also has lager beer at the bar, as if to taunt the drunk. Your drink got you here, and you'll never have another one again where you're going. The train itself is also made of bones and a pumping heart, which I think speaks to how sometimes dreams can reflect the truth about our lives. So if you look at it one way, the downbound train made of flesh and bone is his own body, and it's racing fast due to the hell he's put it through with drink. And the finishing touches that make this song great are Chuck's echoey voice sounding like a spirit from the grave, and the guitars and drums sounding like the train chugging faster and faster down the tracks. Awesome, spooky song, criminally underrated.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the other thing that inspired Chuck was his distaste of alcohol. He tried it once, totally hated it, and he frowned upon those who partook just a little too much, especially his pianist Johnny Johnson, who loved the grape.
Oh, yeah.
And so Chuck wrote this with him in mind, possibly hoping to scare the crap out of him. Really didn't work, and at one point he ended up firing him down the road.
Oh.
So yeah, we're not going to hell in a handbasket. We're taking the train.
Yep, a downbound train.
And probably the local, because we got so many people to pick up. And as you said, we did this in our Chuck Berry podcast, but this is a great choice for a Halloween song. Fearsome stuff.
Yep.
The engine was with blood was sweaty and damp, and imps for fuel was shoveling bones, while the furnace rang with 1,000 groans. And sulfuric fumes scorched the riders' faces and hands. And again, I love that non-rhyming couplet because Chuck was so polite.
Mm-hmm.
Where he says, then out of the distance there came a yell. Ha ha, said the devil, we're nearing home.
Not hell.
Not hell.
Nope. Which is intentional.
Yep. And again, the music chugs along. Chuck chips in a simple solo, but his voice and echo does all the work. And this song needs to be played more often this time of year. Criminally underrated.
Thank you.
So everyone out there, go on YouTube or Spotify or something and start upping the listener count.
Yeah, exactly. If we can play a small part in doing that, we'll have done our job.
Please and thank you.
All right, so now we're going to transition into Dad's songs.
All right, so the first one I picked up is Toccata and Fugue in D minor by Johann Sebastian Bach. Not to be confused with Sebastian Bach from Skid Row. Anyway, this song has a murky history. Bach may have written it in 1704 when he was 19, or it could have been written as late as 1750 when he was 63.
Well, it wasn't a bastion of crack record keeping back then.
Well, in its first century of existence, it only survived as a manuscript.
Oh, God.
Just one copy.
Okay, so whoever preserved that copy, hats off to you for making sure it didn't get lost or stolen or damaged.
Now get this, it was first played publicly in 1840 by Felix Mendelssohn.
Oh, Mendelssohn, okay.
So we jump ahead 100 years to 1940, where it was used in Disney's Fantasia.
Oh, yeah.
And it got more popular. And since then, it's been the go-to piece to illustrate horror or villainy in movies such as 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea, Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde, and even your favorite, The Phantom of the Opera. But the 1962 movie version, if that makes...
That the Hammer film with Herbert Lom?
I believe it is.
Yeah,
yep.
Okay.
And there have been some symphonic versions, such as the one in Fantasia, and even piano versions. But no. The solo organ version is definitive. It is guaranteed to scare the crap out of anyone. And the ideal setting is you have this big-ass organ in a big-ass old church. And it's like both the devil and Old Testament God are coming back to kick serious butt.
Oh, not again with Job.
Yeah, and probably some others.
That poor man.
And my old zookeeper friend Jeanette and I once got in an argument about Bach and Mozart.
What? How did this happen?
I don't know how it happened, but she said that Bach was making God's music whilst Mozart was making the devil's music.
Okay, she's kind of right, though. I can see where she's coming from.
And I kind of went off on her about that. I'm like, please, you
Yeah.
gotta be kidding.
But Mozart's made some heavenly pieces, too. He wasn't just all, writing a literal song about licking butts, which is actually a real song that Mozart wrote.
But this is one case where I think Bach switched sides. And, oh, sure, he makes nice about halfway through, but, don't let that fool you, because he remembers, oh, wait, I'm supposed to be bad in this, and he picks it up again towards the end.
And listen, if you want something nice, go listen to the cello concerto that everybody knows, okay?
Oh, yeah. And you may not recognize this piece by its name, but you have heard it before, believe me.
Everybody
Go on
knows that.
YouTube, type it in, and also type in definitive version.
Yep. I used to have this on my Halloween playlist, but I could never last the whole 9 minutes. I couldn't. Listening to it now for the first time in a while, I'm always astounded that there are people who can play this piece on the organ, because it sounds like Bach was writing this music faster than anyone could ever play it, with so many notes in rapid succession. The opening is the most iconic, and then the rest of the piece goes off into a frenzy. The ending sounds like a triumph, but a triumph by whom? Doesn't sound like a happy triumph. I like to think of the end as death triumphing, the great equalizer. And then the piece ends with those final notes hanging in the air. If you're someone who's looking for a great time at a Halloween party, maybe keep this one off. But if you're going for something spooky to marvel at a Halloween party, add this to your playlist.
Now, you know how you said that Bach used a lot of notes?
Mm-hmm.
The first thing I thought it was like in Amadeus.
Yes.
Where the king tells him, there's too many notes. Well, which ones would you like me to take out? And the thing with Bach is, he did that a lot. Like, I have this other album called The Goldberg Variations, which is played by Glenn Gould on piano. And it is mind-numbingly fast. You'd swear there's more than one piano, but it's just one guy just going nuts.
We're debating on how we'll eventually cover classical music on this show, because Dad has some classical albums, but an album full of instrumentals might be hard, so we're working on it, but we're not going to do it quite yet.
We have to work our way up to that.
Yeah, exactly. Next one, Dad?
Tubular Bells by Mike Oldfield from the album of the same name, Tubular Bells, which he wrote and recorded when he was 19 years old.
Wow.
Kind of like Bach, maybe. The album consists of only 2 songs. Side 1, Tubular Bells Part 2, and Side 2, wait for it, Tubular Bells Part 2.
Huh?
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, it was 2-sided. Anyway, the album came out on May 1973 on Virgin Records, and that was that label's first release. Richard Branson later said if it wasn't for Tubular Bells, there'd really be no Virgin Group, and there'd be no Virgin Space Rockets or whatever it is they're working on
I was about to say, Sir Richard Branson, that one?
Yep.
Wow.
Yep, they just took a chance on it and said, okay, let's see what happens, and
then The Exorcist happened.
Well, yeah, because that was the thing. At first, its sales were kind of so-so until it was used in The Exorcist. Director William Friedkin wasn't happy with Lalo Schifrin's original score and was looking for something, just something different. And he found it at the Atlantic Records offices in New York, because Atlantic was the U.S. distributor for Virgin Records. And as soon as he put it in the movie, it sold and sold and sold. And the thing is, it's only used briefly twice in the movie.
I think that's all you need.
That's all you need, yep. Now, it stayed on the UK album chart for over a year.
Wow.
And a single edit went to number 7 on Billboard's Hot 100 chart, making Oldfield an official one-hit wonder. But get this, he won a Grammy in 1974 for Best Instrumental Composition, and the album was inducted into the Grammy Hall of Fame in 2018. At one time, Oldfield said he did not want to see The Exorcist because he believed he'd find it too frightening.
Good idea.
Guess what?
What?
It is.
Yeah.
This is the only movie that keeps me up a few nights after watching it.
He's not lying about that either.
Yeah, and just hearing this song can set me off. But here's the thing though. If you want the best scary experience with this song, stick to the 3-minute and 17-second radio edit.
Which is the one we listened to.
Why, you may ask? Because filling up a whole album side, the version gets sillier as it goes along. At one point, Vivian Stansall from the Bonzo Dog Doodah Band, they were big in England, introduces each instrument as it's being played one by one.
What is this, Peter and the Wolf?
It kind of is. It's like, here's the guitar, and now we have some drums, and then we have some keyboard. And you just realize, oh my God, it's prog rock. It's eye-rollingly ridiculous. And it's just, oh my God, you had this great thing, and then you just pooped all over it. Because once again, you're in love with the smell of your own farts.
So, but for this version, anyway, I remember the first time I heard this piece and I thought, this is beautiful. This is the main theme from The Exorcist. But re-listening to it years later, I get why. The piece starts with this soft piano playing notes in rapid succession and some bells chiming. And it sounds pleasant but not happy. And then a clang jolts you from your seat. And these clangs repeat throughout the song, but you can never predict when they're going to play. And I was on edge throughout the whole piece. And all the other instruments were played well as they were layered in, the flute and the electric guitar especially. But this theme is wonderfully creepy and upsetting and keeps you on your toes.
Until you get to, here come the guitars, and let's have a flute.
Not on this version. Not on this one.
Thankfully. Okay, our next song is Ghost Town by The Specials.
Really love this one.
This was recorded in April 1981 and released in June the same year. It went to #1 in the UK and was named Single of the Year by the 3 major British music mags. NME, which stands for New Musical Express, Melody Maker, and Sounds. Writer Jerry Dammers said it was based on what they saw when the Specials were touring. Shops were closing up, old ladies were in the streets selling their household goods. There were riots in Bristol and Brixton in 1980. But in the summer of 81, when this came out, there was more rioting, over 35 riots around the UK.
Was Thatcher Prime Minister around this time?
I believe so.
Explains it.
The band took a long time to record this song, and it resulted in the Specials breaking up.
Whoa.
But Jerry Dammers soldiered on with Special AKA, who scored a big hit in the UK with Free Nelson Mandela, which Mandela was in prison at the time.
Yep.
And their stance was just free him, no strings attached, do it.
Just do it.
Now, the organ and the keyboards really set the mood for this song. But the cake taker, though, for me, has always been the ghostly, yeah, 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 yeah. You have to hear. I cannot do justice to it.
We'll get to my favorite part, which you haven't mentioned yet.
Because that gets me every single time. It's truly frightening stuff. And I think the thing is, this song I have on the one of those, now that's what I call music compilations that I borrowed from the library. It's, now that's what I call Halloween music. I'm not Casey Kasem. And it has The Exorcist, and it has Ghostbusters, and it has Ghost Town. And I think they probably didn't really listen to the words to this song.
No, but it's still creepy.
Yeah, but because, I mean, you're going through these towns that have just basically closed up because, as they say, too much fighting on the dance floor.
Oh yeah, I remember this song playing in your car. First we have that opening that gets unsettling, but comically so. Now my favorite part is when we have the horns that sound like we're in a 50s or 60s B-horror movie or creature feature. The singers begin to tell us this story about how people are leaving this town. It's becoming too violent and bands won't play here anymore. It used to be vibrant and hip, but it's falling to the wayside and the government won't step in and help. As if forgetting the people who live there even exist at all, which has aged all too well. And I think what sells this as a Halloween song, other than the title, is the vocalizations after the chorus that sound like people wailing and screaming. The perfect touch comes in at the end as the singers' voices fade and echo like ghosts. Great addition to the playlist.
Oh, thank you.
You're welcome. Next.
Now we have Black Sabbath by Black Sabbath from the album Black Sabbath.
For Black Sabbathers like you. Thank you.
Yeah, so, so, you got your triple crown right there. Now, the band's name was originally Earth. But
Earth. It sounds like
Earth.
no, Earth as in when you get buried in the earth when you die. I bet.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But another band already had that name, and they were a little more successful.
Earth, Wind, and Fire.
No, it was just Earth.
Oh, okay.
I guess they were making a name for themselves in the UK.
Oh, okay.
Anyway, so they changed their name to the very first song that they wrote.
Mm-hmm.
Now, bassist Terry Geezer Butler said the song came from an incident that happened in his apartment.
Oh no.
Yep, he had a lot of black magic stuff in it, and he had the walls in his apartment painted black, and he had the inverted crosses and all
Oh
this.
boy.
And he says that one night this thing appeared at the foot of his bed, and he thought it might have been the devil himself saying, okay, it's time to either shit or get off the pot. What's it gonna be, guy? Huh? Are you just putting the stuff up on the walls for the heck of it, or are you gonna be committed, huh? So he was so shaken by the experience, he threw out all the black magic stuff, painted his room orange,
Oh, that's a choice.
and started wearing a cross. And he insists that he was not on drugs when the incident happened.
Okay.
And he says that the lyrics are warning people against Satanism, not for it.
Yeah.
And the song starts off with rain and bells, which are very convincing. And then the band just comes, to me, there's no other word for it. They just come plodding
Yeah.
in.
I said plotting too.
Yep. And you just know it's not going to be unicorns and rainbows and cute little kittens. And Ozzy finds out that he's been the chosen one, and he screams, "Oh no!" But not like Mr. Bill, though. Oh no! And later it's, "Oh no, no, please God help me," because he just does not want to go. So there's your, stay away from this stuff, kids.
Yeah.
This has been a public service.
It reminds me of when my coworker Emily and I were talking about Halloween and if we'd had any experience with ghosts. And she said, she grew up Catholic like me, so she kind of has like feelings about it where she's like, don't mess with it. And we both talk about how, I guess kind of similar to what that guy did by having the black magic and the black walls and the upside down crosses. It's like, we both don't believe anyone should use Ouija boards because then, I mean, mom has the argument if it's just people pushing the letters to where they want to go. But it's like, if you use one of those, you're kind of asking for something to happen or for somebody to come out, like jump out at you. So it's like, maybe stay away from that and nothing bad will happen to you.
Okay. As I said before, the band is plotting, but around the 5-minute mark, they think they're Led Zeppelin.
Yeah, kind of, yeah.
Yeah, debut album version of Zeppelin anyway, and they do a pretty good job.
I wonder what Zeppelin thought of this when they heard it, or what they thought of Ozzy and Sabbath in general.
Jimmy Page probably thought, damn, there's some stuff we should probably steal. Borrow from them.
Oh, did they steal?
If we ever do Zeppelin someday, yeah.
Oh, boy.
Oh, yeah.
Come at us, internet fanboys. Okay, I got chills listening to this. The music sounds heavy, like Frankenstein's monster dragging his feet across the floor. And it plods, and you wonder, is this it? Then Ozzy opens his mouth, and his voice sounds gross, like a corpse that rose from the dead in front of your eyes, and he's talking to you. He sees death, which means he's chosen, and then he sees Satan, so he knows he's doomed. Then he screams, "Oh no!" And your eyes go wide because the dude sounds like he's in pain. The guitar solo at the end kicks ass, but at the end I just thought, oh wow, that was cool. I wasn't like the people in the comments saying, people used to be terrified of this song. Or apparently there were stories where they'd play this. Ozzy said they would play this in concerts and people would get so scared they'd just leave. They'd just book it. And I thought, maybe if I wanted the full experience, I shouldn't have listened to this song with the lights on. Or maybe as times change, what was scary in 1970 isn't scary anymore. That's for me to decide. I thought it was a cool song, but to me, not scary.
Well, the other thing is, they're looked upon as the godfathers or the founders of heavy metal. And the reason that they did songs like this was Ozzy said he noticed that there would be these long lines outside movie theaters for people waiting to go see scary movies. And the light bulb went off and said, well, if people are going to pay lots of money to be scared at the movies, maybe they'll pay a lot of money to be scared on records. And son of a gun, he was right. Good businessman.
Next track.
To Bring You My Love by P.J. Harvey from the 1995 album of the same name, which kind of has a disturbing album cover where she's floating in the water. It's this close-up of her, but you don't know, is she a corpse?
I thought she was supposed to be like
not?
Ophelia in Hamlet when she drowns herself.
Possibly. She's dressed all in red.
Yeah, and she looks great, even though she's floating in the water and you don't know if she's alive or dead.
Yep. And she said of the album she was experimenting with some dreadful sounds and was looking for dark, unsettling, nauseous-making sounds.
Yeah, she hit that out of the park.
Mission accomplished.
Yep.
A simple bass guitar line fades in and is throughout the song. And if you don't know it, it's doom, 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 throughout the whole song.
And if you're a Peaky Blinders fan, you've heard this song before too.
And it's got this very menacing guitar. And then Polly's distorted vocals come in, and she gets biblical Old Testament style. She's traveled over dry earth and floods, hell and high water, cast down of heaven, laid down with the devil and cursed God above, all to bring you her love. And she makes that sound like a threat. And God help you if you're on the receiving end and you say no thank you. Mm-hmm. You better say yes.
It kind of reminded me of the Guillermo del Toro film. Oh, it's the one with Tom Hiddleston and Jessica Chastain and Mia. Oh, is it the Crimson? Keep talking and I'll look up the name of the movie.
Oh my God.
Crimson Peak. That's what it was. Crimson Peak, where Jessica Chastain plays, spoiler alert for anyone who hasn't seen the movie, the incestuous sister, wherein when he actually falls in love with the woman who he's supposed to kill, she just loses her shit. It's a good movie if you haven't seen it.
Never even heard of it.
Oh, it was really, really good. I think they just took it off Netflix, but it's an amazing movie.
Huh.
Yeah, go watch it if you haven't.
Okay. Mm-hmm. Next is The Creature from the
Wait,
Black...
I haven't given my thoughts on PJ Harvey yet.
Oh, you have thoughts?
Yeah, I do. That's
Oh,
why
I
I'm
thought
doing
you
this
already
show.
had thoughts.
No.
Yeah, you get to my age, you forget stuff.
Okay.
Sorry.
Nice use of crescendo with the opening guitar. Gets creepier and more unsettling the louder it gets with reverb. Now, as for her voice, she sounds like Alice Cooper singing Poison, but if she adopted Lux Interior's Swallow the Mic routine. Can you hear it?
I can hear that.
PJ is on her deathbed, and she's confessing everything she's done for this person's love. This is the deathbed confession of a serial killer stalker, and at one point she draws out the word love to the point it's harrowing. And who's by her side? Her love? Nope. Satan. And despite her tone, you kind of feel scared about what's coming for her. I thought this episode would be, a fun Halloween romp. But nope, it's put you on edge and stay there scared out of your mind. Very creepy. Holy crap. Now we go into the fun song.
We do? Okay, I guess we should. Mm-hmm. Okay, The Creature from the Black Lagoon. Not the theme from the Creature of the Black Lagoon. This is a song that was done by Dave Edmonds, and he's been around since the early 60s. He played in Love Sculpture, then Rockpile with Nick Lowe, who he produced at one point, as well as other artists. And he's only hit the top 40 twice in the United States.
Really?
Once with I Hear You Knocking, which came out in maybe 70 or 71, maybe 72 at the latest.
That sounds like it could be a good horror song.
His other... No, that's actually a pretty fun song. Huh. And his other song was called Slippin' Away, produced by one Jeff Lynne, which...
Oh, well, wait, was that good or bad?
It got him a hit.
Okay, well, I mean, I know Jeff is like a hit maker and like a kingpin, but sometimes it's like, do you think that he has a certain style of producing, like where you hear a song and you know
it's
had a
him?
hand in it?
Easily.
Okay, now could that be a good thing? Has that always been a good thing for artists, or has it sometimes been a bad thing where they clash?
Well, it kind of makes it easy to identify who it is.
Okay.
And you realize that's their sound. No one else has that sound. Stay away from their sound. That's their sound.
But, I mean, we've talked about this before. What do you think would happen if Jeff produced Bob? Because that was the only Wilbury he didn't produce.
It would sound like the stuff he's done for George and for Tom.
But good or bad for Bob?
I don't know. I think it would be bad for Bob.
Yeah, Peg said she didn't want to see it in the comments originally. Anyway, back to this.
Yeah. Anyway, he was always been one of those artists who's great, but he just couldn't get the breaks.
Oh.
And like for example, he was the first one to record this song called Queen of Hearts. Mm-hmm. And he begged his record company, please release this as a single. Please, I know it's a hit. I know it. And they said, no, we're not going to do it. Then Juice Newton recorded her version of Queen of Hearts.
And it was a single?
Exact same musical arrangement, just her vocal instead of Dave Edmunds. Rocket it up.
Oh.
If not to number one, easily in the top 10. Huge hit for her. And poor Dave is standing on the sidelines like, I told my company and they wouldn't listen. They wouldn't listen.
Oh, that poor man.
I know. For him, it was like timing is everything.
Yeah.
Anyway, this song is from his album Repeat When Necessary. And guitarist Billy Bremner wrote it. And Billy loved horror movies, and he always thought it was sad that the creature couldn't come out of the water and get a girlfriend. Because...
That's kind of nice.
Well, I mean, the first line is, all he wanted was a lady.
Yeah.
He just wanted to be loved. Is that so wrong? Is that so wrong? But the thing is, Guillermo del Toro's movie, The Shape of Water, it definitely took care of that.
Yay! He's got a girlfriend.
And I highly, highly recommend that our listeners watch that movie. It is extremely eye-opening.
It's very good. And I think somebody also, Lindsay Ellis did a video essay about the evolution of creature features and how kind of the monsters in creature feature films were meant to be a symbol of the other. Anyone who ever felt like they were the other or ostracized from society. So people of different races, people of different sexualities. And then as time evolved, and I think also as you see them as like, you know, they're finally getting their emotional catharsis as times change. And you could also argue that a big thing that happened in that is in the romance novel section where it's no longer, ooh, the monster's repulsive. It's like, oh, I might be into the monster.
Like Pride and Prejudice and Zombies, that sort of thing?
Well, no, it's like, how do I explain this? Okay, when Jean Cocteau did his Beauty and the Beast, and when Disney did Beauty and the Beast, I can't tell you how many people on the internet are so disappointed when they see the Beast in his human form, and they're like, oh, that's it? And
he's just a regular guy.
And there's a story of Marlene Dietrich, I think it was either her or Greta Garbo, one of them, famous old Hollywood movie actress, went to the premiere of that movie. As soon as the Beast turned human, she walked out and said, bring my Beast back or I don't want it. So I think that's always been around for a long time, but I think, you know, recent changes and shifts in popular culture have made the monster more desirable than before. And I think that's where Shape of Water was really able to capitalize on that. Mm-hmm. So maybe Dave Edmunds had his finger on the pulse before everybody else did.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay, so...
Do you have anything else to add to the song?
Yes.
Go ahead.
This song was a breath of fresh air compared to the last songs that you said where it's like, oh my God, I'm going to die at that, creature feature flick. Nice. And it's a good summary of the film for people who haven't seen it. The creature from the Black Lagoon only rises when he looks for a mate, and other than that, no one has ever seen him. And Dave, as we said, has some sympathy for the monster. He just wants a lady, just like any other fella. But she lets him down. If she lets him down, then she's not going to last 5 minutes with him running around. And this song is really fun, playful for a terrifying fish creature. In terms of all the other monster movies, the creature from the Black Lagoon isn't one that crosses my mind. Maybe he's like the Aquaman of the creature feature universe, where nobody can get him right.
He's starting to get some respect, though.
Yeah, and like Aquaman's starting to get some respect, and people are like, oh, this guy's been cool all along, but popular culture's kind of like shunted him to the side.
I mean, the creature in the Black Lagoon, not Aquaman. Yeah. There was this book that came out, it was either earlier this year or maybe last year, about the woman behind the movie, who I believe had designed the creature of the Black Lagoon outfit. And it's just about all the stuff behind the movie, how it was made.
But I guarantee you that from now on, I'll be thinking of the song first. Because it's just fun. It's a good time.
It is. Okay, and now for song number 13.
The one we both agree should be on every single Halloween playlist.
Okay, and we didn't go for the obvious Werewolves of London, though it does contain one of my favorite lines of all time, the alliterative, little old lady got mutilated late last night.
Yep.
Werewolves of London. Again, there's so many good lines in that song.
Fun. And we didn't go with Thriller either, just because it's not my favorite, except for the Vincent Price narration, which is iconic and amazing. I just listened to that by itself.
And we didn't go for Ghostbusters, which
it's
all I can think of is the Stay Puft Marshmallow Man these days.
And the Stay Puft Marshmallow Man isn't scary.
But we did go for a really obvious Halloween song. We went for Monster Mash by Bobby Boris Pickett and the Crypt Kickers. Now, Robert George Pickett was born February 11th, 1938 in Somerville, Massachusetts.
Hey, one of us.
His father was a movie theater manager, and Bobby watched a lot of horror movies as a kid. A lot.
The good, the bad, and the ugly.
Yeah, whatever it was. Because, hey, you know, my dad's a movie theater manager. I get to see them for free. He would do impressions of the various monsters and incorporate them into a nightclub act that he had in 1959.
That sounds fun.
But first, he was in the Army from 1956 to 1959, serving some time in Korea.
Okay.
Anyway, the idea for Monster Mash came from a bit that Pickett did in his nightclub act, where he impersonated Boris Karloff singing the Diamonds' Little Darling, which must have been hysterical.
Oh, if there's a recording of that somewhere, listeners, please send it our way.
He co-wrote the song with bandmate Leonard Capizzi. It was a spoof of the then current dance crazes, the twist and the mashed potato.
Yes, I was wondering about mashed potato.
Which, that mashed potato, that's kind of a tough dance to learn. I was actually watching the how-to video on YouTube. I could not get the steps down. I'm still working on it, though.
The cha-cha slide is way easier. Way easier.
Now, they used studio musicians. Venture's drummer, Mel Taylor, got that credit, though there are those who say it was session drummer Jimmy Sales. And there are some people, like me, and I'll go into this in a little bit, who think it was drummer Hal Blaine.
Oh, okay.
Now, Bobby sings the song like Boris Karloff and throws in the line imitating Bela Lugosi as Dracula when he gets into...
Whatever happened to my Transylvanian twist?
Oh. As for the sound effects, get this. The coffin opening noise was a rusty nail being pulled out of a board.
Okay.
The rattling chains were just chains dropped on the floor.
That sounds about right.
And the bubbling cauldron was water being blown through a straw.
Oh, yeah, that sounds right, too.
Every major label rejected this song. But record producer Gary Paxton took a chance on it and released it on his Garpax label.
What's Garpax?
That was the name of his record label.
Is it around anymore?
I don't know. I think it got swallowed up by Decca Records eventually.
Oh, okay.
Now get this. It sold 1 million copies and went to #1 on the Billboard Hot 100 in October of 1962, of course.
Very timely.
It stayed there for 2 weeks. And get this. It's been re-released a few times in 1970, 1973, and 2021.
Wow, that's a big gap.
And it's either made the top 40 itself or the Hot 100. Now, of course, Bobby Pickett was never able to duplicate Monster Mash's success, though he did try. But as he said, the song helped him pay the bills for a lot of years.
Oh, good for him.
And he went on to do television and movie work for many years. And he died in 2007, unfortunately, from leukemia at the age of 69. As for the song itself, we all know it, but I'm just going to pick it apart anyway.
Yeah, we're both gonna.
It starts off with the chains, and then the drums kick in, and that bass drum just brings the groove. And the rolls and fills throughout, especially after the lines, Dracula and his son, whatever happened to my Transylvania twist, and tell him Boris sent you, just scream Hal Blaine. And the thing is, there are also other members of the Wrecking Crew, which was the studio session band that Hal was known for playing in. They play on this, and the background vocals are by the Blossoms. Excuse me. One of the Blossoms was Darlene Love.
No way!
So she provides background vocals on this song.
Has she talked about this song in interviews before?
Not that I'm aware of. And that's why I think it's Hal, because it's all these people who were used by Phil Spector. And
Okay.
eventually by Brian Wilson and the Beach Boys when he turned them more into a studio band. That's why I think it's Hal. I could be wrong. If it's not Hal, it's someone who really studied his drumming style because they have it down to a T. The only other instruments I hear in this song are the bass and the piano. I guess there's a guitar in there somewhere, but it's not in the forefront. And the thing is, this song is so rhythm driven, you probably don't need any other instruments.
No.
And I think we all know the story. Boris is working in the lab late one night when his creature gets off his slab and just starts doing the monster mash. And yes, it's a graveyard smash. But the thing is, we don't know how it's done. We don't know what the steps are. It's never explained. But does it matter?
No.
Probably not.
Who cares?
The first thing I thought of was like, it's like the Peanuts dancing in the Charlie Brown Christmas.
I just thought it was James Brown's mashed potato.
You just do your own thing. Though later, Dracula does a lament about his twist being passé, but he does eventually go on to be a part of the band, so it works out for everyone.
Not everything's cool. Drax a part of the band.
Yes, and it's hard for anyone living or dead to resist this groove. And anyway, everyone does start showing up. Ghouls, zombies, Wolfman, and my favorite, Dracula and Son, because we did have the movie Son of Dracula, which I kind of thought, well, Dracula's undead, so what's his sperm count?
Well, we're going to talk more about Dracula's son in this instance because I can think of one other example.
Okay, best of all, the living can do this dance as well because he says, for you the living, this mash was meant to, which is kind of nice. Now, the thing is, there are so many versions of Monster Mash on YouTube.
Just stick with this one for the love of God.
There's even one with Boris Karloff himself singing this song on Shindig, which was an ABC show for the kids.
Oh no, that's why it's weird.
Back in the 60s with kind of like a American Bandstand ripoff. And you can actually find this on YouTube, and it's one of those things where it has to be seen to be believed. And you think it's so bad it's good, but no, it's so bad it's bad. I'm sorry, it just is. And my heart went out to Boris Karloff and to Ted Cassidy, who plays Lurch on the Addams Family. I thought, well, I guess there are worse things they could be do to earn a living.
It's a paycheck.
Yeah, it basically is. The go-to version for me is the official lyric video, courtesy of Decca Records.
Oh yeah, the one where they do like the Cuphead style almost.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. And the thing is, the song is in mono though, but that's how originally it was recorded, and the sound is great. You can hear every little thing. And the thing is, I lost track of how many times I listened to Monster Mash for the podcast, but the thing is, I never got tired of it. There was some times where once it was over, I thought, I really want to hear this again. And I think that's the highest praise that you can give any song, is that you want to hear it as soon as it's done.
Yep.
Over and over and over.
And Quincy Jones is right about one thing. If you try to figure out what this song is with in the first 5 seconds it's played, you know you have a hit. If it's 30 seconds or more, forget it. You're not going to sell anything. Okay, now as for my history of Monster Mash, at Meyer and Francis, whenever it was Halloween season, this song would always get played for us to sing along to. And when I first heard this song as a kid, I remember I found the intro genuinely creepy. There's something bubbling in a mad scientist lab, then there's clanking of chains. Then Boris starts singing with his creepy voice. However, as soon as the chorus girls kick in, you realize it's fun. The only thing that scared me at the end was the monster's voice as he enjoys the monster mash. A mad scientist monster rises from his slab and starts doing the monster mash, and it's a hit. The latest dance craze everyone's doing. Everyone starts joining in, although Dracula shakes his fist and says, "Whatever happened to my Transylvanian twist?" It was co-opted into the Monster Mash, apparently. Once again, just roll with it, because he says it's now the Monster Mash. And everything's cool, and Drax a part of the band. He also has a son, apparently, which I guess means we're in the Castlevania universe, with Drax's son, wait for it, Alucard.
That makes sense.
Dracula spelled backwards.
Yep.
Which is a really interesting series where Dracula has a wife, Lisa, who basically comes to him because, okay, hear me out. So they're living in this in medieval times, ancient times, and she's a healer, but, the religious townsfolk see her as a witch.
She's a witch!
But she really wants to help heal people. And she's like, well, my equipment isn't good enough, and everybody's scared of Dracula, and they're like, oh, don't go over there. He's got some magic stuff. And Lisa at first doesn't believe them because she says, well, they say that I'm magic, but I'm not. I'm a scientist, so he must be a scientist too. So she goes over there, and Dracula's really kind of impressed with her. She doesn't give fear. He's like, wait, you want to help these people? She's like, yeah, they're dying. Wouldn't you want to help them? He's like, you're pretty cool. So then she tries to heal the townsfolk, but then they decide they're just done calling her a witch, and they murder her horribly. And so Dracula says, you have 1 year, which is him being generous. And he's like, I'm going to come for you with my army. You have 1 year to get the hell out. And when the 1 year is up, he goes there and slaughters the whole town. And it's a Netflix original if you ever want to watch it. It's really good. Anyway, so, yeah?
Yeah, but, okay, so at this time, so he's already Dracula, he's dead, or undead, or whatever, or
Yeah.
is he still Vlad the Impaler?
He's a vampire.
But sperm count.
Maybe it's just replaced by vampire venom or something. I don't want to get into how it works. He has a kid, just accept
Well, because
it.
I'm thinking, well, he's undead, and I've always assumed, well, the equipment probably isn't working. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, in the Twilight universe, it's that the only way to have a vampire child is to bite a child, but apparently that's the one rule in their vampire universe that's unbreakable. It's like, you never, ever turn a kid into a vampire because it's too cruel to do that to a kid.
Like Interview with the Vampire.
Yeah, kind of. All right, anyway.
And then, it turns out that the vampire kid can out act the pants off of,
Brad Pitt, yeah.
and almost Tom Cruise.
Almost Tom Cruise. Yeah, Brad Pitt is just so blonde.
Shout out to Kirsten Dunst. She was great.
And apparently the new series that they've done for it is really good, too.
Huh.
Anyway.
Anyway.
This song is just for fun, and it also pokes fun at some rock bands of the time. The Crypt Kicker 5 being Dave Clark 5. As for what the Monster Mash actually is, again, I always thought it was James Brown's mashed potato. Whatever it is, this song is just a fun, good time, and it's quintessential for any Halloween playlist. As for the Boris Karloff version, yeah, you can skip it. It's totally different from the original, and he just Rex Harrison's the whole thing.
Well, the other thing is, he doesn't keep in time with the music, and it's like, no. Just slow it down
And
a
it's
tad,
different
and you'll
words.
be...
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess they had to do it for the show.
Mm-hmm.
There was something else about the Monster Mash I was going to bring up, and, being the old guy that I am, I cannot remember what the heck it was.
That's okay. I didn't remember what I wanted to say about Over the Garden Wall either. All right, as always, thank you for listening to the latest installment of My Dad Listens to This. Like, comment, subscribe, and all that jazz. Remember, the more you interact with the video, the greater chance we have of appearing on the YouTube homepage. If you follow me on social media, I post the episodes there. If you're friends with my dad, tell him what you want to listen to, and he'll shoot it right to your inbox. As always, thank you for listening to the latest installment of My Dad Listens to This. We'll be back next time with another album to nitpick and gripe about. Dad, anything you want to say before you sign off?
If someone gives you a box of raisins for Halloween, you are seriously being tricked.
And you have our permission to egg their house. No, don't do that, but you have a right to be pissed. Happy Halloween, everybody, and stay safe.